Well, welcome everyone to this episode of Unlimited, where we interview people who are taking life and reality to a whole nother level. I'm really excited today to be joined by Dr. Eric Pearl. He was once a chiropractor and he realized something absolutely extraordinary. And instead of brushing it under the rug and saying, oh, I don't know why that happened, he leaned into it and he's changed millions of lives, connecting with something that we barely understand: quantum physics, the ability to heal ourselves, and the technology and power that is within even our own hands. He's been traveling the world not only to heal people, but to teach other people how to heal people and teach other people how to heal themselves. And so his legacy has grown beyond belief. His book, The Reconnection Healing, has been published in almost 40 languages around the world. And it's a great pleasure and honor to have him today, thanks to Kylie of lightwithin.com, because Eric, you literally epitomize why we started LightNet. We started LightNet with this idea that, hey, wait a minute, there's something possible that we thought was impossible, and let's get people to talk about that, to document that, to spread that, and to change the world and change our perception of what's possible. So you're really the poster boy of this new era, and your life is incredibly, incredibly inspiring. So thank you so much for being with us. You're
Wow.
traveling on a world
Yeah.
tour again in Chicago there, right?
Well, no, actually, we moved. Jillian and I moved about 3 years ago to about an hour outside of Chicago. And so through the COVID experience, thank goodness it's important we understand the word experience because an experience always has a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's what, makes it an experience. So during our COVID experience, we shared, during that finite experience of COVID, we were sharing the infinite via the internet because that seemed to be the way of the time where people were most comfortable. Um, and I love speaking live. I really do. I love speaking live. I love the excitement of not knowing what's about to come out of my mouth, which I realize is frightening or at least unsettling to a lot of people who like to, you know, rehearse their conversations before they have them with someone or rehearse their presentations. I really just know my key points, my salient points, and I pick them up from the interaction with people, which does not mean it requires verbal language. We say, oh, there's no language. Oh, there is language. It's just not necessarily verbal. So I love seeing all of you who are brave enough to be live on our Zoom gathering because I really enjoy seeing your faces that way. I know you don't have to. You feel that your hair and your makeup isn't just right, but as you pick up in a few years, as I have, you don't care so much. But when you spoke about connecting, Zenka, and Zenka, I so appreciate the invitation to join you on this show, and I so appreciate Kyle having extended your invitation to me. When you speak about reconnecting or connecting, it's a very interesting word choice, one that I understand better now than I did before. In the beginning, when we referred to reconnective healing as reconnective healing, um, I really wondered why the word reconnect came through. Because as you speak of the concept of connecting, it is beautiful. And how could we reconnect? Does that mean we've disconnected? Or can we connect at all? So what kind of a question is that? I love what we call reconnective healing, and I'm going to weave through a few different points, and then you're going to pick up on the ones you want to play with. How's that? And lead me in that direction. And I'll go with you that way. We'll play. We'll all play. Um, and if you're putting things in the chat, by the way, I'm watching your pictures. I'm not reading the chat. So hopefully, Zenka, you or someone on your team will point out anything on the chat you want me to address. Reconnective healing, what is that? I used to say it's reconnecting with our original fullness. Now, if you read the first book, The Reconnection, um, and many of you have, as you mentioned, it's in like 40 languages. That's great. If you've attended our training programs over the years, that's great. If you've looked at the new book that just came out about a year ago called The Direct Path to Healing, that's great. And there's a tendency to say, has reconnective healing changed? In the discovery of what's reconnecting, it's healing itself that's reconnecting. We cannot disconnect. Our disconnection is really only our not recognizing that we are all one. And to connect, well, it's the reconnection of all of healing. You know, healing, we've learned healing through techniques. The funny thing is technique's ultimate design is to self-dissolve. So if the ultimate design of technique is to self-dissolve, why don't we know this? Well, there are many reasons. Some of them we're not taught that. Some are that sometimes for some reasons instructors may not want us to know that. And yet it all comes back to recognizing that we are one. So we're going to play with this. Don't let me lose this. How is it that maybe we can't really connect anyway? So shoot me back to that when we get there. But we are one. We are God, we are love, we are the intelligence of the universe, we are Allah, we are Buddha, we are the next door neighbor, we are Jesus, we are everyone and everything. Because there's no separation, there's no division. So I am you, you are me. Healing is, we are the most comprehensive. What I like to talk about in healing is really the most comprehensive healing of your life. It invites you to do nothing and experience the infinite of everything. If you and I are one, start this way. Can I send something to myself? Can you send something to yourself? Well, the only way you can send something to yourself is if you show up, you know, in the UPS office or FedEx or something. Really, try this for a minute. If you can comfortably, assuming you're not driving a car, operating heavy, dangerous machinery, everyone just stand up. You don't have to put anything down. You don't have to prepare. You don't have to get a pen and paper. Just stand up wherever you are. Just stand, 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 stand. Got it? Good. Take a step toward yourself. Yeah. Like fat chance, right? So sit down. You can't take a step towards yourself because you're already there. You can't send something to yourself because you're already there. You're already here. There isn't even a there. You can't go from A to B unless there's two of you and unless there's a distance or a separation between you. So when Jillian or I or foundational reconnective healing practitioners facilitate healings, whether it's in person or whether we're doing distance healings, whether we're in Chicago and you're in the Middle East, doesn't matter. We don't send a healing. So how is the healing received? I can't send a healing because you're me and I'm you. So the only way we can receive a healing is that we recognize that my receiving is your receiving, is your family's receiving, is the people you like receiving, the people you love receiving, the people you can't stand at all, they're receiving too, because there is just no separation. Reconnective healing dissolves otherness. This is the main reason or a concept that allows us to understand why techniques in healing are the division in healing, the divisiveness, the separation. There are like, I'm making up these numbers, 112 different Reikis and 1,043 different Shigongs. And there's the old techniques and the new techniques and the technique that will come out tomorrow. But every technique has this gorgeous focus to it. Like a membrane, a living membrane that allows that form of healing and energy to be the beautiful thing that it is. But it's a container. What's an example of a container? Well, if you're in a room somewhere now with a window, if you look out that window, you're going to see a picture. You're going to see something outside, something of the universe. If you look out another window in that same room, the picture will be slightly or dramatically different. It's just clearly different. Something is making noise that I had shut off, so I'm trying to put it back on to quiet, and I'm going to see if I can find that. Oh, there it is. The noisemaker is now off again. Okay, so we're back. So each window is a different picture. If you look out a window on the other side of the house, it's a dramatically different picture. If you look out the window right next to it, it's a mildly different picture. If it's a window with different divisors within the window itself, each one of those are slightly different pictures because each picture is limited by the frame. And it's further limited by the wall that supports the frame. Really, if we're looking for an infinite metaphoric picture, we're going to metaphorically all want to go out and go up on the roof, join each other there, have a party where there's no limitation. That's us being one. Now, there's always someone who's going to come want to join us on the roof and say, hey, I brought you this new window frame. You haven't seen it before. Let's add the window frame to your infinite view. So you look out that window frame. Does the infinite expand? No. The infinite can't expand. It can only contract and reduce to fit within that frame. And only when we allow that frame to dissolve too, does everything come together. When we allow our techniques in healing to self-dissolve, it is the reconnection of the entirety of healing. There is no longer that separation. There is no longer that division. Do all of those techniques help us and benefit us and allow us to see? Absolutely. And for those of you who've read the Reconnection, you know I loved using that example of training wheels on a bicycle. Training wheels are wonderful. Let me tell you, parents take a breath when they put their child on a two-wheeler with training wheels, right? Because it helps that child find his or her balance. But we know enough not to add second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth and 8 and 12 different sets of training wheels, or the child will master the bicycle with training wheels and never master the bicycle. Training wheels have to come off. That's the greatest gift of the training wheels, to allow bicycle mastery. Our energy healing techniques, as they dissolve, the greatest gift is when they dissolve. And we find that we're not here to master energy healing techniques. We're here to recognize the mastery of healing that we are. So in reconnective healing, we receive. It's not a from where to, because there's not a distance. So I can't, and no one can, send you a healing. We can only be in receivership. We cannot connect because in order to connect, can one connect? You must have two or more to connect. So the concept of connecting, lovely as it is, comes from our perspective of being otherness, other people, other religions, other tribes, other wars, other arguments, separation, fear, unknown. But when we realize that we are one, there's no connecting, there's no reconnecting, there's a recognition of self and allowance of being. There's no more doing because doing cannot sustain itself. Doing requires effort. And anything that requires effort cannot be sustained. A yoga practice cannot be infinitely sustained, but that's all right because the practice is designed to allow us to recognize that we are that yoga. A meditation practice, you just can't meditate 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, because that makes every year leap year, but let's not go there. You can't because it requires effort, but you are meditation. What we attempt to do is ultimately designed to allow us to simply reveal ourselves to ourselves, to recognize that we are here. We are now healing. We are healing. You are the healing that you've been looking for. So why don't I pause there? There's a lot of points I jumped on and many that I haven't. And Zenka, how about
Yeah.
if you conduct a little?
Yeah, so I want to thank our broadcast partners, New Realities, Portal to Ascension. And if you want to get in the back to ask Dr. Pearl questions, you can go to lightnet.org/unlimited. That's going to get you into the Zoom room. This is a very, very, very special transmission, as you can see, because Dr. Pearl he's not covering up. He's not waiting till you get to chapter 12. He's going right to the end of the book. And he's explaining how this works. We're ready for this message. We're ready to know that we're all one. We're ready to know that there's something confusing and paradoxical about us being us, but also one of us healing ourselves and healing other people at the same time. So we invite you to come back and we're going to take your questions. Now, one of the questions I have is,
I know you know your question, so I'm going to trust you're going to hold that. I
yeah,
want to thank you for saying something because not a lot of people get this, Zenka, so I really appreciate it. We're ready now. Let me tell you how many people are saying, but people aren't ready. They want techniques. They want to hear it. That it's a separation. It's an other. I'm sending our techniques are like potato chips. They feel good in that moment to the ego. But what happens? You want another and another and another until you can't force any more down there. And then you feel sick. You'll never have another potato chip again until tomorrow when you're hungry. Um, we are ready now. You are ready now. And what you zeroed in on, Zenka, which I loved, is that we're starting at the end. The reason that Jillian and I entitled, let's say, this most recent book, The Direct Path to Healing, because a direct path is no path. You already start at the conclusion. Where are our progressive paths taking us? Meditate 35 minutes a day, 3 times a day for 90 days. Do, and you're going on a journey somewhere to the left, to the right, up, down, around, under, in, out. But where is it leading you back to? You, silly. You're starting. How about if we just start at the conclusion? And here we are. And what do we say to ourselves? But I don't know how. How do I do it? There's no step. There's no technique. How? When you don't know how or where to begin, You've already begun. So sorry, Zenka, I just so appreciated your question. And now I know you have another. So go ahead.
Well, yeah. And you know, I want to know. So everybody that's listening to this, he's lending you his consciousness. He's the 4-minute miler that said, if I can do it, you can do it. And that's what's happened. Millions of people have been taught this and are healed this and are healing this. But I want to know what, because we had a question here in the chat. So there's a one thing to know this is possible, and there's another thing to actually do it. And what we've learned in LightNet with spoon, the first time you go, oh, that was a fluke. And the second time you're like, can I do it again? And by the third time, you are sure in it. But I want to know what goes through your mind. Now, maybe you walk us through how that first healing happened and then the second and the third, but what goes through your mind when you sat down to dissolve yourself? What is the first thought, the second thought? How do you lead yourself into this embodiment? Because there's people that are shaky on it the first time, and once you get them going, they're healers forever, right? But talk us through the baby steps.
First of all, nothing is the answer. The answer, what goes through your mind, is nothing. You want nothing to go to your mind. You don't try to, I forget the word you use, but when you're looking to find this or say, yeah, there is no trying. It is absolute observation and recognition of how you take this in as awe and wonder. You see, every experience, as we said, is limited, has edges, borders, boundaries. The infinite doesn't. Our thinking mind tries to add to things and make them better. But can you add to the infinite? No. Why? Because it's infinite. Can you have two or more infinites? No. Why? Because then neither of them would be infinite. So what goes through your mind? What are you trying to do? Your mind wants to perfect something, make it better, find just the right way to do it. So you don't know what you're doing the first time. And you know what? You never do. Each healing, every healing you facilitate is your first. You don't know where it's going to go. And to me, the best thing for everyone involved is I know when you're facilitating a healing for someone or when you're coming in to receive a healing from someone who's a facilitator, you're not even receiving it to and from, but let's not get lost there in the language of it. Everything that we're wanting for ourselves or for the other person in that interaction, let it go. You have to listen in the beginning. When someone comes in, they're going to tell you why they're there. So I let them give me their first reason why they're coming for a healing session. Or allow yourself, if you must express something to a healing facilitator, to give them the first reason, and then stop and say, hey, but guess what? Here's what I want you to know. Here's what I want me to know. The less I know about this situation, about what the person wants, what we're looking for, the diagnostics behind it. Is it in the left? Is it on the right? Is it in the toe? Is it in the nose? The less I know, the better off everyone is. The more I can release that, the better everyone else is. Now, is this a bit of a big contradiction to a lot of movements in healing that are intention movements? Yeah. Because when we're intending, what are we using? The thinking mind. So what's the best we can get out of an intended healing? What we want, which is really only what we think we want. What if we have a group healing? The best we can get is the best of what everyone's really thinking, including their doubts that they're trying not to think. But when we're not intending, when we're not having group thinking or self thinking or focus thinking or thinking that we know exactly what we want, we discover that we think we're lucky if we get what we think we want. But we're truly fortunate. We've let go enough to find that we're receiving a healing we haven't even dreamt of, one that the universe has designed specifically for us. Let's get our thoughts and our ego and our personalities and our doing and our trying completely out of the way. So how did I, what's my recollection of where I was with this? Because that's the best way to share. There are no notes as to what to do and what not to do, but it's sharing. There is no teacher in healing because that becomes already a separation, a division of superiority and authority. There's no guru. I'm not a guru, and none of us are. The ones who really aren't the gurus are the ones who know enough not to call themselves gurus. They're the gurus if anyone is, I should say. That anyone who calls themselves a master healer, well, forget it. Masters don't put master on their card and they don't wear a little sign. So what went through my mind? Nothing. What was I in recognition of? Awe, wonder, and a funny feeling on the inside that I came to be at ease and peace with, of not knowing. We so struggle for security, for that knowingness, and we think that that's our peace, but that's never peace because that knowingness can leave at any moment. Being at ease, being at oneness with the unknown. There's just nothing beyond that. So, do things come along the way that test us continually? Absolutely. Facilitate a healing session, and then you hear someone who went to a seminar and learned how to anchor in your healing. Well, first of all, when you anchor in your healing, what are you really saying to the universe, which always answers you yes anyway? Better do something, it might leave. Then you're saying, so if it does leave, you can anchor it in by, making these nail marks into your fingers that give you a different sensation, or squeezing your ear, or doing something to anchor it in, to bring it in. Now you're saying when it goes, which of course, what was the expression, when you speak of this and you will, when it goes, and if you're thinking that way, it could. This is what you do to bring it back. And I remember standing there facilitating a healing session with all these people who had come in since the healings began and said, burn this color candle or that color candle, or do this to anchor it, or move clockwise or move counterclockwise. And I said, I am just going to let this stand. I'm going to allow what we call reconnective healing, which really is healing itself because it's the reconnection of the entirety of healing. I'm going to allow this healing to stand or fall on its own. What might that mean? Might mean people don't get the results they're looking for. It might mean people aren't coming in to see me for healing. It might mean this, it might mean that. Well, I'll tell you what it meant to me. But let it stand or fall on its own, because that means I get to wake up in the morning in the knowingness that I am. I am not performing. I'm not creating. I'm not enhancing something to make it look like something that it's not. I am in the knowingness of this, because this was not the way I was raised. This was not the way I was functioning in life at the time. As you said, I was a chiropractor. I was a chiropractor, rebalance the body, let the power it made the body heal the body, the brain, the body opened up. It was wonderful. People came in because their knee hurt or their shoulder hurt. I sort of let them know that they were there for a larger picture, but that was fine. They came in for what they wanted, and I was very good at chiropractic, and I love it. And I think it's one of the highest forms of healing on the planet. But when I recognized reconnective healing as I continued to facilitate chiropractic, as great as that was, I was living my second best. And when you're living your second best, you're not really alive. You're not fully alive. So in that, I said, here's something new. Not what I studied, not what I learned, not what I'd even told my parents about yet, because I don't know what this is. I'm holding my hands near people, and their bodies are moving involuntarily, and they're seeing colors, and they're getting, my the children are walking and talking again. I just did my sister-in-law's father, who's 90. I just facilitated a healing session with him, his first one. His body started to move, his eyes started to move, his lips started to move. He began to have a conversation with someone who wasn't there, and he didn't even know how. And we told him about it afterwards. He didn't really believe it, so we did a second session with him, and his daughter videoed it, showed it to him. I mean, this is real. I needed to know it was real. I needed to know I'm real, that I'm not living in some kind of an illusion that I've created. That was just one of the greatest gifts that I gave myself, saying I'm going to let it stand or fall on its own, because that was allowing me to stand or fall on my own. And I so hope each and every one of you who choose to get involved with healing, whether it's as a client, whether it's as a facilitator, however it is, allow it to be what it is and recognize that it is perfect exactly as it is. Does that mean it will match your picture of what it should or shouldn't be? If you're lucky, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of questions bubbling up over here. And once again, if you're online watching on YouTube, you can go to lightnet.org/unlimited and get back into the Zoom room to ask your questions. We've got questions about children. We've got questions about certifications and things like that. So, this idea of putting yourself in awe and wonder is a massive brain state, because you're not following any other patterns that might have existed. Your brain is literally like, I have no pattern for this. I need to expand and basically be in that theta, that open, that curiosity. And it allows for something that is beyond your conditional beliefs to step in. And I have known and worked with the healer like you. And again, I want to applaud you for also being a forerunner, a revolutionary in this idea that there is no more gurus. Our ego likes to be the miracle healer that is like selling out everything, that's got the book translated in 40 languages. That's the old paradigm. And you're like so beautifully saying that over and over and over and over and over again. So everybody listening, you're also Dr. Pearl. If he's you, and someone is coming for the healing and he says, heal me, heal them, heal us, you're also by default a part of him. So you can connect with him, because in a sense you are him. So my final question to you before we open it up to everyone else is that, how did you, do you think that this was your purpose from the day you were born? Are you doing this in coordination with with math or God or all that is? Or like, is this just the screamingness of your purpose, letting it flow in the world? How would you describe that?
You,
Of Yeah,
no,
that
I'm
was
just,
a confusing
you
question.
see,
I'm sorry, but
no, that's right. You see my hands like this because I'm reaching over the microphone on the keyboard because you're touching on so many things and I'm trying to write down keywords that you run through as you do this so I can come back to them. And that's my little notepad because I didn't think to bring a pen. Anyway, how do you put yourself in a state of awe? You don't. And awe is not a state. It has no limitations. It isn't, to me, my experience, a brain thing. And you don't put yourself there. You find yourself there. And then there's a recognition of, wow. Because if you attempt to put yourself anywhere, then the awe is sort of gone because it's already an intention. So we sort of limit it a little bit. It's your Dr. Pearl and healers like you and I. I had so much thinking like this, but the point is, that's back to division. Yeah, I'm looking at our Zoom screen and there are, I don't know how many squares on the screen right now. They're all little divisions. Can you look at someone and see what they're feeling? I mean, I'm looking at Carl right now and he's not even, there live. I think I'm just looking at a picture of him. And his smile allows me to feel him, even in the photograph. When I look at Mary, I see her think and smile. And I can see that. Hey Carl, right, you've got the same smile. It's you. It's it's when we can stop saying you're Dr. Pearl, you're Deepak Chopra, you're Joe Dispenza, when we can stop saying that, when the need for that separation, that otherness perspective dissolves, then all these people we've been comparing ourselves with have done what they're here for, whether or not they know it. Then we've accomplished that. So, can I say it was my purpose from the day I was born? I think what happens is we have situations that allow us to recognize things more dramatically in some ways than in others. I mean, I can look at the story of my birth and go, "Oh, wow, that's pretty dramatic." And someone else goes, "Oh, it was a normal birth, or it was a C-section, or it was this and that and the other. Nothing special." Well, we were each placed on this planet because of the worthiness that we are and a purpose. There's no one role. It's sort of like looking at a a tapestry that's miles and miles and miles long, a woven, gorgeous tapestry. Is there any one tiny little thread in there that is more or less important than another? And as we pull the threads out, what happens to the integrity of the fabric? It begins to weaken or dissolves. It's sort of a disintegrity, and look at that word several different ways, to pull ourselves out of this situation of life, living, and being. So, can I say that I had some dramatic things? Sure. If you read the book, then a lot of the first book, then a lot of my mother died giving birth to me. I was still inside of her. They know she had that life after death experience, which wasn't talked about then. And it shares the experience of what she saw and the insights she was given. And they were gorgeous. And And you know when you're hearing truth, you know when you're experiencing truth. When I was 5 years old or so, my grandmother died, and I thought, what happens? Is she just buried in a dark little box 6 feet underground, and that's it forever? And so I came home from school one day and I asked my mother about it, and that was the first time she shared her experience with me. She wasn't telling it to people. And the moment I heard it, my fear of death was gone. Truth reveals itself. And there's a felt knowingness, a felt recognition that can never be taken away. Once you know something, you can't unknow it. So, as you suggested, Zenka, play, experience. I don't know if I'm doing the healing. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? You can't know. And you don't want to know that way. Your presence is perfection. All the doing really does is it puts us back into our minds and our brains, which is really what we want to allow our to dissipate at that point. It's like, should I be going clockwise over the chakras or counterclockwise? And then you pick a way that you were taught, which is different than another person was taught. And then you find yourself on a journey flying from North America to Australia. And as you're facilitating a healing, you think for a moment, oh, I'm crossing over the equator. Should I go the other way? The toilet's flush in the other direction. Should I start spinning it in the other direction? Does that work? Really? Or we say, oh, I'm standing over people facilitating the chakras in a clockwise direction. Isn't that great? Now I'm going to lie down in bed tonight and do my chakras. But now I'm going counterclockwise over me and I don't even realize it because I'm moving that way. What I love to share with people is, everyone, if you want, take your finger, hold one finger, point it up to the ceiling. Everyone just do it. Just humor me. Take one finger, point it way up to the ceiling. And now draw clockwise circles on the ceiling. Just keep clockwise circles going. And continue. Bring your finger down to your forehead. Keep going, clockwise circles, clockwise, clockwise. Bring your finger to your nose. It's going clockwise. Your chin, keep it going clockwise. Your chest, keep it going clockwise. Level of your belly button, keep it going clockwise, and look down at your fingertip. And what direction is your finger moving in? When did it become counterclockwise? You didn't change what you were doing. All of this has to do with our selected perspectives. And then we argue. Oh my God, we argue. No, chakras are supposed to go clockwise. No, they're supposed to go counterclockwise. We argue about what we don't know instead of reveling in the freedom of not knowing. There is an infinite intelligence that knows, and we get to experience it. In the reconnective healing experience, it's called an experience because we have different experiences in life, but it's an experience of the infinite, limited experience of the infinite. Um, it's a glimpse of our infinite being. I mean, look, even your physical being, I see Chelsea, I see Oriana, I see Avi, and I see pictures of their human experience here and now. But this human experience has a beginning, a middle, and an end, but they don't. Avi, Chelsea, Oriana, Nancy, Sage, everyone, we are infinite beings having this one human experience. The reconnective healing experience gives you a glimpse, which sets off a series of ongoing glimpses. So when you learn or to facilitate, or you allow yourself to receive, to experience reconnective healing, it shows up in your life in so many ways. Don't go looking for what the one healing you think you should have, because you may miss it. You may miss what's really coming your way. You're looking for a problem you've been having in your foot that hasn't been letting you sleep. Great. And you want to get rid of that. Great. Is that the only thing? And then you go, oh, I still have that problem in my foot. What's going on? Nothing happened. But then you start thinking to yourself, you find yourself standing in line at the grocery store, and there's someone in the front of the line looking for a coupon for 15 cents off, and she can't find it in her bag. And the whole line is building up. And people are standing around her offering her 15 cents, 15 cents, 15 cents, which she refuses to take as the line gets longer. And our nature is sometimes to get a little annoyed, I would say, some of us. And you find yourself starting to laugh and you think, that's funny. This would have really irritated the crap out of me last week. And now I'm finding it funny. Or the people at work, I didn't have a healing. That healing didn't work. But the strangest thing, the people at my office who were always against all of my ideas and concepts are starting to support me. My adult kids who don't want anything to do with my opinions are now coming to me, asking me questions and wanting to spend time. I wonder what happened to them. Nothing. We've received a healing, and everyone interacts with us. Everyone. I don't know if I actually hit your question or not, Zinka. I'm sorry if I kind of rambled.
Yeah, no, I wanted to give space to everybody else on the call, so I was jamming in 50 questions into one question. But
Well, I jammed some of them
I
into.
love it. Yeah, I just love hearing you speak. This is such a, like you said, starting from the end, and really transmitting that. I call it hocus pocus when we think we need to light the candle and to do the thing and the like. That's all just your mind needing to figure it out, or to have some, or to convince yourself. But your Dr. Pearl's already proof that you can not understand it and have it work, that you cannot do anything and have it work. And so I think really he's inviting us into a totally revolutionary quantum, very fascinating way to do this. And I encourage you go to the reconnection.com to get in one of his classes, to learn how to be certified, to experience more of this thing, because this is where we're all going. This is it. This is the aha moment. This is the
Uh,
aha
yeah.
moment.
And we're not really going.
Yeah,
You're not
right. We're
going.
already
You
there.
can't be anywhere but here. And
Yeah,
you can't get anywhere next week
yeah,
because it's all now.
yeah.
You know, and by the way, you're right. You'll find out a whole lot about reconnective healing in the classes from the reconnection.com. And they'll also the links are going to take you to reconnectiveacademy.com, because these are where the training programs are coordinated and taught and arranged all around the world. If you'd like to learn reconnective healing, if you'd like to recognize the healing that you already are, and in that recognition, find that the world is recognized, the healings that they already are. It's the being that is the healing facilitator. It's when you finish through that line where the woman finally found her 15-cent off coupon or something, and you're checking out, and you just share a momentary smile with the checkout person. That's a healing. You simply don't have to make the room with the right sounds and the fragrances and the perfect colored candles and stand and work and do. I mean, it's gorgeous to have these sessions, but you know what? How long does it really take to have a healing? Do you think a situation can change it? I can't tell you how many times people come in and they're ready for a healing session when a facilitator, you'll go in, you want a healing session, and what's the first thing you start doing? You're taking off your jewelry and you're this and that. You don't want anything to interfere. And I'm thinking, really? You know? It's like, do you think that Mother, Father, God, or whatever our imagery is of this, is floating on the heavens above the clouds, looking down and goes, okay, I really want Rick to have a healing now, but that belt buckle, I just think I can't get through it. He didn't take it off. Belt buckles that stop even God, it could be a selling product, right? And when we laugh, it means we get it. And sometimes when we get angry, at hearing something that goes against the way we've been taught, it's really a laugh looking to break through. It's really that laugh of getting it, looking to break through. When we're willing to not know, oh my God, it's freedom. And what is freedom but healing?
Yeah. Yeah. We talk a lot about freedom in the Purpose Lab. I want to take a minute to ask everyone to go ahead and hit the like and subscribe wherever you're watching, and share this video with someone who you think needs to connect with Dr. Pearl. I also want to thank our team here. I want to thank Kyle for putting together this interview. I see Sharon Clark, who's also a volunteer with us. I really want to thank her. And of course, the team, Adham, Adam, Coffee, and everybody who's working to get this information out to everyone that's ready for it. So, and we all are. So I'm going to take it to questions here. And I want to hear from Leon first, because he asked an early question about children. So I'm going to bring him up. And then you've got a ton of people who have interacted with you in your training sessions in the chat here. And they're going on and on and on about how life-changing and amazing it is. And I would love to bring one of you guys in there had a question. I don't know if it's still relevant. If it is, I'd like you to raise your hand. So we're going to hear from Leon. I'd like to hear from someone who's participated in his certification, in his programs, of embodying what he's bringing to this world. And then I also see that we have Luce got her hands raised. So if you're in the Zoom, you can go ahead and go to reactions where you see the hand held and put that up. And I know you're ready for it. Again, lightnet.org/unlimited to get into the Zoom room. Hi, Leon, welcome.
Thank you, Zenka. And thank you, Dr. Eric. I love your wisdom that you shared with us. I have a 5-year-old, and as a parent, as teachers, as society, we coming from a state of love and wanting to help children, we end up inadvertently with that limited knowledge, limiting them by creating beliefs that prevent them from realizing their full potential. So what can, as parents, as society, as teachers, tell our children? Because we don't want to not say anything. At the same time, we want to say things that empower them. What are some of those kind of key anecdotes that we can tell them that will help them? Thank you.
That, I don't know, I'm playing with this as it's coming out of my mouth. So, to understand that you are love and you are light. Love and light are without form. They're formless. And you've all, you and your kids, been given an opportunity to share and interact. And that is by shining a light. But we've been given a game to play. I'm trying to bring this down to children level. We've been given a set of roles in this game of life here. And the rules are we've been given little blocks, little formation blocks shaped like this, beginning, middle, end. They let us experience color and shape and temperature and texture and blah, 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 blah. These are our words. So we're going to play a game. I'm going to use these words that are blocks to explain a concept that is flowing and formless. I'm going to shine a light, point it in a direction, and now you're going to come back and tell me what you see. Tell me the formless. And you might even want to say, because to tell you the truth, you've come here closer to the memory of the formless than I am. I've been on this earth for a while. I've sort of forgotten. Help me. Try that. See how it works. I've never said that before, so let's find out. Do you like that? Is that all right? Good. And you know what? Healing reveals itself right in front of you. True healing is you don't get to see it coming. It's an instantaneous transfiguration. It's an instantaneous, it's a metamorphosis, a transformation. It is a reconnection, which is really a revealing of ourselves to ourselves. I believe you're going to experience some gorgeous gifts from that game. And if you play it, I really want to hear back. So get back in touch with us and tell me how that's going. Tell me how that's going for you. Because I had fun just making it up and sharing it with you, and I really like it. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Leon, for that great question. You know, we had a question come in. We're going to go to Luce after this, but we had a question come in from Chris about the nuts and bolts. So, what does the foundational practitioner mean? And will there eventually be a non-foundational advanced practitioner? How do they differ? So, explain a little bit to people. You've piqued a lot of people's curiosity to engage in this type of healing. What does it look like when you sign up to the academy? How does it work? What are the sessions like? How long does it take? That kind of thing.
Well, everyone can come in and learn Reconnective Healing. And if you go to, again, reconnectiveacademy.com, and you'll also find them listed on the reconnection.com, that'll lead you back to Reconnective Academy. You're going to find that the teaching begins with, or the sharing begins with what's called the portal, the online portal, which really its title had always been, it's not listed this way, but it is, and you'll see that it is it's the essence of healing. And it's interactive online, so you can play with it, which is really lots of fun. Jillian and I share with you all the way through. So I think it's an 8-hour course with 2 bonus hours, but I mean, me, if I hear an 8-hour course, I'm going, no way. I'm not even going to block 1 hour and do a course. I can't. So I knew me. And so we created it in a way that would work for me, which is you get to turn it on whenever you want. And guess what? You'll have 7 minutes of philosophy, or you'll have 9 minutes of an exercise, or 12 minutes of a little bit of how science is supporting this aspect, and then 6 minutes of another exercise. It's like a smorgasbord. You get to walk down the line. I'll take some of this, some of this, some of this, some of this. And before you know it, that first hour is over, whether you do it in one sitting or whether you do it in 6. You never have to block time for it. And when you go back to the next hour of it, there's another 7 minutes of this and 9 minutes of that and 8 of the other. So it's nice to interact and play with that. And that is the main suggested or prerequisite to learning live. Then you learn live reconnective healing. So that would be a weekend, and it's held all around the world. Our different instructors hold most of the courses in their language in their country with English translation, but some not. So you have to look at each one and say, is this simultaneously or consecutively translated in English if you want. Cecilia Sands is one of our main teachers here in the United States, and we've got teachers all around the globe. There'll be one coming up that she'll be giving somewhere in the US. Not sure quite yet where, but whatever. And that's a Saturday and a Sunday where there are massage tables and chairs. You get to learn yourself, interact, questions, answers. There are usually a few teachers teaching, teachers will say, sharers with you, leading each course. There'll be massage tables, so you get to interact with one another and you get to see how the other person responds and you them, and you get to hear and share. It's just an incredible experience. And then there is one other thing that's thought of as level 3, the reconnective healing. Well, why don't we call it the reconnection? Okay. You learn the reconnection, become a reconnection certified practitioner. And that teaches you, gives you sort of a recipe to play with this with, and the recipe allows for the experience to be quite dynamically different with a different effect on your life in many ways. There's an overlap to reconnective healing and the reconnection, but in essence, reconnective healing is more focused on healing and the many ways that healing expresses itself. And the reconnection is designed to thrust your life onto a life course you hadn't even dreamed of, maybe even more rapidly than you're even sure that you want, until you look at it and you turn around and you go, how did I get here? And oh my God, I'm so glad I did. And now this makes perfect sense, and I never could have seen it before. So I'm giving you a really nutshell different way of looking at it. But what is a foundational practitioner? Well, anyone can go to the training program, anyone can do the portal program um and the catalyst program on a Saturday and Sunday. And they may have come from a background of energy healing techniques, and they're looking to experience and experiment and play with what this is. And that's fine. It means that they play with technique and with freedom from technique and allowing technique to dissolve, but they may go back to technique again. So it's sort of they're and the truth is, once you know something, you can't unknow it. And so the foundational practitioner is someone who's attended the same training, but has gone, I get this now that I am the healing. It's a direct path. I'm not looking for things to journey and add and play with and crystals and wands and eventually come back to myself and leave again and come back and leave again. I want to start at the essence. I want to start at the conclusion and be there in the presence as my recognition and everyone's understanding of this healing unfolds. So I don't choose to mix and mingle. I'm simply doing the purity. I'm simply allowing myself to be that purity of being that is reconnective healing. So they agree that they want to work that way. And then we give them the title of foundational. And that's what they mean. It's really the foundation of healing itself. Does that
Wow.
help a little?
Yeah, that is so powerful, you guys. That is a state of being. That's where all the education falls away. And he's describing this state of letting go, this curiosity, this being, just being there, being in service and seeing how everything goes. So powerful. What an interesting journey for all of us, for healers and people who don't even consider themselves healers. Maybe this is calling you. So fascinating. And I think that what you're saying about this, all you people who are not even healers, I think it applies to everything. And I hope we get a chance in the last 25 minutes here to talk about the science of it. Because you were mentioning, we're starting to wrap our minds around quantum physics and how could this even be possible. But I want to bring Luz in right now. Luz, welcome and thank you for your patience. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Liz.
Thank you. Hi, Erica. I'm from Colombia.
Where in Colombia?
Colombia, yes. I took your course 15 years ago in
Uh-huh.
Miami, of course. But I have a question because I have a special situation right now. My mom got cancer. I am in the hospital right now. So I am trying to do a healing session for her. But how can I avoid any intention, because I know everything about her illness, and to avoid to make any interference or on the process? How can I make the magic happen?
Okay. Zenka mentioned, for those of you who aren't healers, also, and I'm saying everyone's a healer. It's our essence. We are healing. We don't always recognize that because we're raised in a society where people say, oh no, That person over there, the one who wrapped themselves, in the cloth and carries the crystal ball and it's smoke blowing out of their windows all the time. They're a healer. No, it's the division thing. We're all a healer. We are all healing. And the more we let go of everything, and you can't give away too much because there's only one thing you can't give away, and that's your essence. Then you find your essence is the healing, which is always perfect. And Luz, it is that. But sometimes our experience, our perceptions block and confuse.
Mhm.
Okay. So it would be a little easier for you if you were working on someone who wasn't your mother. Okay. And we know that there'd be less attachment. Attachment causes us to constrict, limits the flow, and in a sense pushes things away because in that constricted state, we're not allowing ourselves to be ease. What's the opposite of disease? The opposite of dis-ease is ease. So we want to release that. And of course, you know the situation. So different ways you can approach this. And I learned this, Luz, I'm not telling you anything I didn't go through myself. Okay. I learned this the first times in Miami, let's say, when I was invited way back. It was still the late 90s to go on grand rounds with the doctors so that they could see these healings. And for some reason, I thought I'd go on the rounds, see the patients, come back and tell them what happened. I didn't realize they were going to follow me. So I can't tell you how much attachment I had to, I hope this works, I hope this works, I hope this works. And I defined to myself, the best thing for me is to release my ego, because when we release our egos, we bring our gifts through so much differently. And your ego and your personality is not a bad thing. It's also part of you and your presence and your desire for what you want to facilitate. So I realized I have to let that go, just like I have to let the healing stand and fall on its own. And in my willingness to release that, the healings began to manifest. And, that was some of the beginning of my work with hospitals. Now, I would teach way back when I was the one teaching the training programs. I would say, listen, if it's a family member, you might want to ask someone else in this class to work with your mother, and you can work on someone in their family because there's less attachment, which is fine. And it's a good idea. And it's also, I wasn't intending it to be this, but it's also a way out of the growth of learning how to be observation itself and not to get involved in the attachment of what's needed. It's kind of like, well, it's learning to be observation itself. So as much as you can allow yourself to say, okay, I know she's got this cancer going on. I know that we really want her to live. And remember, not every healing is supposedly, not every person is supposed to live forever. We're not supposed to live forever. There's a whole interaction in our recycling and in how moving through life and different forms of healing affect not only us, but everyone in our families. There are gifts that are brought through all of that. So I really want to let go of my attachment. I love my mother so much that I will let go of my attachment to my limited thinking, cerebral perspective of what the optimal healing is, and allow her to be receiving the healing that's optimal for her. And I can do that only by allowing myself to be presence, not obscured by the wants and desires of my personality, my seemingly separate self, my ego. And that's human, and there's nothing wrong with it. So I may find those dance back into my mind and go, that's nice. Now I'm going to allow that to leave because I want what's optimal in this healing session. This is my purpose. to be present here. And I know that my personality doesn't want to relinquish what I see as control, although it may allow me to realize that I've never had control anyway. So can I let this go? Into what degree? And guess what? That is your mother facilitating a healing for you. She's offering you this opportunity to discover that part of you next. So in a way, I was really sort of, my suggestion to have someone else who's not connected was sort of cheating yourself a little bit of that growth, because you and your mother are designed to have you came in to share your teachings all the way through life. During the healing session, you cannot facilitate without receiving. That's why the first book, the subtitle was called Heal Others, Heal Yourself. The Reconnection, Heal Others, Heal Yourself. You can't have just, you can't place just one side of a coin into your pocket without the other. And guess what? You're not in the room with your mother now. Are you in any way not sharing your existence with your mother right now, even though you're not physically in the room? Of course not. You are one. So right now, this release that you are having is allowing her most appropriate healing to take place. And don't think for a moment that those of us who don't see and feel you in this aren't having our own healing. There's so much when you are at when you're at one of the training programs, learning reconnective healing, it's not about learning what to do with your hands. That's a distraction. That's allowing you to recognize, not to become aware of something, but to recognize the awareness that you are. Not to become conscious of something, to recognize that you are consciousness and awareness and love manifest in physical form. And it's allowing us to let go of the form. This tissue box is getting a lot of airtime, isn't it? To let go of the form. Exist as formless and informless. We are one with everyone and everything. So when someone says to you, who the hell do you think you are? Jesus Christ? You can laugh and say, yeah. And Moses and Buddha and Muhammad and love and God. And guess what? You are too. Does that help a little?
A lot, a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Luz. Thank you. Yeah, it's so great to hear you work through these questions in such a powerful way. Wow. So we probably have time for just two more questions. I wanted you to talk about.
I would ask you why, but then we'd only have time for one more question. Sorry.
Yeah, we have a big meeting coming up at 11:30 for the Purpose Lab, but I really want you to talk a little bit about this new science that's coming through, and then we have Jay who's going to come on and has raised his hand for a question. So
Sure.
and I just want to say, Kyle has been texting in the chat. You know, it's really amazing that you have been doing this for over 20 years and how you've evolved and brought this to the world. So it's really amazing when someone has really gone as deep as you have with these concepts and is still willing to make them down to the essence of their simplicity, which is just so powerful, so powerful. So yeah, if you could talk a little bit about what you think science understands about what you're doing.
There are lots of different studies that have been going on that started. Some of the first ones started at Jackson Memorial Hospital at the University of Miami back in the mid late 90s and ran through University of Arizona and international research centers. Let me just pick one. I know. one of the things I love is our DNA studies. We've done DNA studies a couple of different ways. And the one with, gee, I don't know if it's a published white paper. I think it's being published in a peer-reviewed journal. It is published. It's being, I don't know. Was done by Glenn Ryan, who's done a lot of research in the field for a long time and actually originated from working with cosmetics, and Estee Lauder was where a lot of his work had begun. And he did a study with DNA. Now, we've had them done with human DNA, plant DNA, animal DNA. His was with human DNA. And he came in, being human beings, we all have predisposed concepts of what results should look like. I mean, to ask for a study that's purely, double blind and without prejudice, it just doesn't happen that way because we're human beings. I mean, ions is one of the head of ions is one of the first people where I heard about the study showing that two researchers can do the identical study in the same format and the same down to every little detail, but they'll get two different sets of results depending on their thinking, what they're anticipating. And of course, that being a study already, who knows if it's right because of what the researcher was thinking. So Glenn came in and he had already been doing research with Reiki and Qigong and some other energy healing techniques. And he heard about reconnective healing and the very dramatic healings that came about. And he said, we'd like to include you in this study. Now, he said, this is what's probably going to happen. He said, because we find that with energy healers, it's what he did was he gave DNA that was he had DNA that was damaged, heat damaged. So instead of being in the normal coil that we see DNA in, it had uncoiled. And he said now the healers, especially advanced healers, as they'd work with it, would slow down greatly the recoiling aspect of it. And of course, what does that do? That puts the human mind into analyzing why it slowed down. So his mind said, it's probably slowing down so it can take its time and really do an incredibly excellent job with the healing. So reconnective healings are so dramatic, people walking and talking again and not needing medications and all the different things that go on, tumors leaving and before surgeries and that we know reconnective healing is really going to slow it down a lot. I heard that and I said, I don't think so. He said, what do you mean? I said, I don't think so. Now, I wasn't fully recognizing that in the quantum, time is an illusion. Time is an illusion. Now, we tend to think, well, wait, time's not an illusion. Time is real. We've got clocks and calendars. And yeah, I know. We started here at the same time. I know. When we say something's an illusion, that does not mean it's not real. It just means it isn't what it appears to be. And time is not what it appears to be. So I said, it's not going to slow it down. I don't think. You may be surprised, but let's see. So I facilitated, I did 3 tests with him and he did several. And we found that not only did reconnective healing not slow down the healing, it expedited it. And it was the only form of healing that realized that the DNA to uncoil had damage intentionally inflicted upon it. It was the only form of healing that not only healed it from the intentionally inflicted damage, but it healed the damage that was already there prior to that. There's just a realness and a being to it. And there was a professor emeritus from Stanford University, William Tiller, who's very well known published for all of his exams. When he came in to see what was going on with reconnective healing, he repeated the study about 6 times, which we talk about in the new book, because he said it's impossible. The equipment must have broken. These readings couldn't happen, but they keep repeating themselves. So You know, expectation to me is an invitation to discover something new and wonderful. And so, Zenka, that's how you end up in a state of awe. You don't try to get there. You can't try to get there. You just go, oh my God. And the funny thing about awe is it's unknown. And the thing about the unknown, you know, what do we say? You know, we have fear of the unknown. And the unknown gives us a sense of something unknown, and we get to choose to interpret that with fear or not. You hear a lot of people say, oh, healing started happening, or I was getting psychic imprints, or this, that, and the other, and I was afraid, so I shut it off. Fear often causes us to back away from discovering ourselves. And I remember in the moment when it first showed up for me as a beautiful long story. If we do another interview, happy to share it with you, but clearly we don't have time to get into it right now. Is that I had a choice. That not knowingness, that awe, I could take it as fear and walk away, or it's the same feeling, but you can step into that unknowing, not knowing, and saying, I'm here. I want to know. I want that felt knowingness. It can't be explained through the mind, but here I am. It's talking to you. Your awe is speaking to you. How are you choosing to listen?
What a beautiful quote that was. That's a beautiful quote.
Thanks.
Let's sit with that for a minute. Everyone just close your eyes. Sit with that awe. Very cool. So we have one last question from Jay. Jay, thanks for being with us. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for hosting this excellent series. My question is really simple. Well, maybe it's not really simple. Now, I guess since we are all connected, um, I guess maybe it's not proper to talk about toxic people, but what's the best way to deal with people who just insist on unloading their toxic garbage on you? And I'll yield the floor to you.
It's not about what they insist on doing. It's how you insist on perceiving it and receiving it. If you recognize that you are light, does the light go, oh, crap, that room is so dark. I hope I don't take any of the darkness on. It knows it can't. No one can give you their toxicity. Now, you may choose to share in a way that you sort of will use the word feeling in a broader sense than just, just a physical kinesthetic sense. Feel what they are going through. That's your choice. That's your option. But if you remind yourself, if you just remember, you are light. You can't take darkness on because darkness isn't something, it's an absence of light. That's why it's dispelled with light. You're choosing to feel in a certain way that if it's not serving you, you can say, I'm choosing to take some of this stuff on. I wonder why. Now, you can say, well, I don't know how not to. But there's not really a how. It's just a recognition of who and what you are. But you can certainly choose not to interact with them, or maybe you can't. Maybe it's someone in your immediate family. And you just might want to say, how am I choosing? It's really all a choice, even though it doesn't feel like it, to feel in this interaction. You know, if I walk into a dark room with a match, does the match become overcome and the light go out? No. So why am I choosing to let my light go out now? Talking about it. If you know a lot of people who go, oh God, I do these healings all the time. And every time I do, if someone has this problem, I feel this. And if they're emotionally upset, I'm in bed for 3 days and I can't walk through a shopping mall without taking on everyone's pain. Well, if it's going on and on and on with a lot of people, that really tends to be, I'm trying to say this. I want to say this with respect, but I also don't want to lose my clarity in it. That's the personality, the ego. That's the choice. And the people who tell people about it all the time, not you, Jay, you're sharing an experience, I understand with one person, but people who talk all the time, they're really wearing it like a badge of honor. I'm such a great sensitive healer that I can't facilitate a healing without taking on my clients, this, that, and the other. I said, well, the only way you're ever going to get over that is if you make a promise to absolutely never share that story with anyone again. And I mean, never, not for 2 weeks, not for 20 years, not on your deathbed, but you will never, because that's the only way you're going to realize it will stop reinforcing itself as some kind of a wonderful badge. It will stop, reinforcing something wonderful in you. But that's not what's happening. Probably, Jay, from what I'm getting, I'm assuming a little bit, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you have an interaction with someone and you always feel down because of it. And you care, you like them, you enjoy them, but I just want you to know. I want you to know. You don't have to. And the truth is, you can't take their crap on. You can't. You can only sort of be feeling it in an empathetic way.
So if somebody smashes out all the windows in your house, you should maybe try to heal them or something, or get
That's a
away
little
from them,
different.
or
You should call your insurance company
well, you know what I'm
and
saying.
maybe the police. I understand, but are you talking about someone who is physically inflicting pain? It didn't sound like that to me. It sounded like you were just taking on someone's emotional garbage.
Well, I'm not talking about anyone or any specific situation, but I mean, yeah, you're right. There's levels to it, and I guess I didn't frame the question logically. I mean, someone who's just, yes, you can choose how you react to someone, if they get in your face and get offensive, but when they really start damaging you and damaging your life, like what do you do then?
What's
Like,
an example of damaging your life? So I want to understand what you're saying so I know how to respond.
eluding me, turning everyone against me, limiting my options. I mean, literally looting me,
Okay,
and on and
then
on. When it gets really bad, when it becomes basically war, like, what do you do then? How do you stop? Can you heal them? Maybe you could heal them.
well,
Maybe you
first of
could.
all, why are they still, without a lot of depth of detail, why are they still in your life?
Um, hmm,
I mean, I don't
hmm,
want to cloud the issue with logic, but really, Jay, why are they still in your life? Why are you
hmm.
keeping them, allowing them to remain in your life?
Uh-huh. Well, this was just a theoretical, but there are some things I suppose if it's family, you could cut off toxic family, but they're just
I'd rather you not imagine examples. Do you have a real example of this that's going on?
I do, but I can't talk about it directly.
Okay, so you can't
It,
use an example of it, allowing them to remain
well,
nameless,
I mean,
relationshipless.
if theoretically, like, a government agency decided it had a problem with you as a part of doing what they believe is their job, you can't just liquidate them out of your life. I mean, they have the power to keep intruding into
That's
your life.
true.
Right.
We really have to adapt and interpret in different situations, bring about different things. All the answers come back to recognizing who you are, and then knowing if there are circumstances that you can't change, then how are you dealing with the circumstances? And I'm not saying in a Pollyanna way, just say, oh, I'm wonderful and this won't bother me. No, you have to deal. You have to interact. If it's taxes, you have to find a way to negotiate and pay your taxes. If it's something else, you have to do that. If it's a relationship, you have to figure out if you can, how you can. But come back to the knowingness of who you are. And that we are all one, even if sometimes you can allow yourself to feel them in a gorgeously empathetic way, becomes a healing for everyone involved, whether anyone knows it or not. You have to deal with what's on the ground, what's tangible, but also finding yourself, because we go through a lot of these experiences in many different ways. I'm sure there's many people right here with us in this gathering and watching the replays and such who will have similar situations. It's the choice of I am. Here, let's try this. Let's play with this. I think this is a gorgeous way to play with something that may help to varying degrees in different ways. So when you're going through that situation, you're feeling, give me one word. You feel really what? One word.
Angry.
Got it. There's your word. So, Jay, say to me, I am angry.
I am angry.
How do you feel when you say that?
Like just black and red spikes are coming out of my heart
Right. You
chakra.
feel angry. You feel angrier, right?
Right. Even thinking about it riles me up, which is
You
why I
got
try
it.
not to think about it.
You got it. So let's not elaborate on it. I'm just going to move us through this.
Okay.
I think we're going to find this here because we all have something. We're all feeling this or that or the other. We may be feeling sad, maybe feeling hurt, maybe feel angry, whatever. Feelings are our experiences. They do have beginning, middle, and an end. But just when we say, I am angry, you feel that anger. Okay? Now, play with me. I'm not doing this to be psychological. It's another reason, and you'll see, although it
That's
sounds like a
okay.
psychological thing. Here we go. I want you to say, I am angry, but I want you to say the word angry at a slightly softer volume than I am.
I am angry.
Okay. Do it again.
I am angry.
Now, when you say it that way, does the feeling of anger change a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. That's all. Stop there. Just stay with me. Okay. I want you to say I am and say angry even a little softer. And please, I know this sounds childish. Just do it.
No, it doesn't actually.
Go ahead.
I am angry.
Good. Now, I want you to do it again without sustaining the angry for so long and softer.
I am angry.
Okay. So you can say, I am angry. Say it like that. Cut the word a little shorter. Don't live in it.
I am angry.
Yeah, there you go. Good. Now, one more time, but this time I want you to pause for like 3 beats after you say I am before you say that quiet little quick word angry.
I am angry.
Good. Again.
I am angry.
Okay. And the feeling of anger kind of gets a little less and less as we do this, right? I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just wanting you to be in this experience for a moment. Now I want you to not follow it with the word angry. I want you to say, I am.
I am.
Say it again, a little softer, a little nicer.
I am.
Once more.
I am.
Just share with me what you feel when you say, I am.
I feel rooted to the earth, actually,
Okay.
which is good. I feel like I have a foundation dug into the center of the planet, like I am,
Okay. Now
like I
don't even say it
exist.
that strongly. I want you to just soft. We don't need a thunder god thing. I just want you to say softly, I am.
I am.
It's kind of a feeling of ease, wouldn't you say? A little bit of peace. Try it again.
I am.
How is that feeling? Emotionally, how's that feel?
Calming and
Okay.
connecting. I see what you're doing a little bit.
Well, what
Okay.
I'm not doing, but I'm sharing with everyone. We're all sharing with everyone. Here's the thing. We are. I am. That's our infinite who we are. We don't tend to recognize it. I am is often obscured by our life experiences. I am angry. We don't even notice I am. We're just so angry. And we forget I am. It's sort of like if you go outside and the day looks gray, we go, oh God, it's a gray sky, and for a lot of meditators and such, they know this analogy already. The sky is never gray. It's always blue. Fly up above the clouds. What color is the sky? It's blue, silly.
Right.
Okay. So we're looking at the experience. Meditation, for example, yoga, for example, are designed to allow us to be a little bit more in touch with the I am and less obscured by the experience of it. In reconnective healing, I've talked to people who've had reconnective healing experiences, the experiences of life that's coloring the day just seem to be gone, and we are lost in, or I'd really say found in, the I am that we are. So this is so simple, Jay. You don't need to go through that exercise. I would say, when you're experiencing what you share that you're experiencing, say to yourself, I'm angry, I'm annoyed, I'm feeling down. And then I am. I am. Return to the I am. It's not a cerebral answer. It's your knowingness. Jay, you are the answer you've been looking for. You've simply been allowing that experience to hide you from you. True healing reveals you to you. And in that, I'll say revelation, I don't mean it in a religious sounding way. In that revealing, in that revelation, we discover the peace, the beingness of who and what we are that we've been looking for. The less we've seen it, the further away we've been looking. I don't see it. I'm look further away, further away, further away. Those are our journeys, our healing paths that take us into do this, do this, do this, do this. But the answer is already here.
That's incredibly insightful. I see what you mean. It's like I've lost touch with my essence. It's like this feeling has taken me over so much that it's superseded my essence.
And
And
it's
I've
just the recollection.
okay, and I've kind of allowed that to happen. Okay. Okay.
And how long do you think it's going to take you to find you again next time you notice that you've let something obscure you?
Not as long as it did this time.
Damn straight. And you know what? We also take healing a little too seriously. Let yourself laugh. That's your nature, your love, your laughter, your joy. That smile on your face, Jay, we can all feel it. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for being here.
So it's interesting because Carl asked if you could do a healing today, and you just have. So I think we've all felt anger before,
And we will again.
and we will again. And I met Jay when I was living in Washington, D.C. after 9/11, working on organizing world peace. And we met each other at the Indie Media Center, where we were all getting together to make stories in media that was telling a new story about the world and our potential.
Mhm.
And Jay is one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. He has a mind that's beyond Wikipedia. He has an understanding of science and things beyond even what I can understand. It's an incredible encyclopedic scientific mind. So Jay, I'm so glad you came today. And the meeting that I'm 15 minutes late for, and maybe the people from the Holo Movement team are here, we've been going through for the last couple days a healing moment.
Well, you of all people know everything happens for a reason, Zenka.
That's right.
I mean, this moment is happening for a reason, so.
That's right. And I think, you talked, Dr. Pearl, about healing people that are not in your immediate family. And Danette, who's the founder of the Illuminate Film Festival, just got, as Laura said, a fairy tale wedding. And I'm not going to say what actually happened, but her beloved husband is going through something right now. And let's take a moment to heal ourselves and heal Drew in this moment. So I just want to take 60 seconds of silence. And I also want to share something that came through in the chat of one of our beloved community members here in Sedona from Viola. She said, after I had Reconnection done, all fell off from me alone without my efforts. People, friends, family, job, habits, so many things I can't even begin to count. And I was not even aware that it was not bringing me love and light. It just left my life. So we're going to go off on a new path in this moment so we can say goodbye to a moment and reconnect with ourselves and love ourselves through this healing that Eric has facilitated today. And after this minute of silence, we're going to be on the other side of something. And it is a moment of awe and wonder and gratitude. So I ask everyone just to close your eyes right now. And don't do anything, just be and allow and let go. Thank you to everyone who's been here. Thank you, Eric, for sharing your light with the world. The Reconnection.com is where you can find more about his work, and I'll leave any final comments you have.
Thank you, Zenka, for the invitation. This has been a gorgeous experience. I was going to join Jillian and her sister today for a visit to a wonderful orchid farm, I'll call it, and our timing didn't allow me to go, and I realized this was my orchid. You're my orchid. all of you this morning. So very much. Zenka, I'm clearly now getting the sense you're involved with many interesting things, and I really love getting to know you this morning for the few minutes before and during this. And I'd love to interact with you if you'd like. Maybe we'll find some projects we think we're both a good mix for, blend for. Let me know.
I would love to reconnect after this call.
Okay.
And I would love to have you part of the Purpose Lab and beyond to share your story. It's been incredible spending time with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I was going to share. I just want to repeat that the most comprehensive healing of our lives invites us to do nothing and to experience the infinite, everything. I think sometimes the challenge comes in allowing the infinite to remain infinite and catching ourselves when we begin to want to just direct it a little here, a little there, to say, it's infinite. And I am absolutely in love and peace with infinite beingness without knowing anything more than that I am knowingness itself. Healing, love, God, choose your word.
Beautiful. Yeah, that in that healing, that was a moment for me to start to to think about those concepts, to not do anything, just to be, and just to feel what that feels like, this thing that you're describing, you're pointing to. You know, Buddha used to say, don't look at me, look at the moon. He would just point there, say, look there. And I think you're taking us to a place that we're going to arrive to in our own evolution. And I thank you for leaping us forward.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone. If you'd like to share this video, it will be on the live tab of New Realities, Portal to Ascension, and our LightNet to find this and share this out. And thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Bye all.